But in a situation where you find that a person look at the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
because I have said that.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Now, if you're just joining, you're watching Daybreak reaching you live from the nation's capital on Trust Television. We'll take a look at the Daily Trust newspaper. The lead story talks about, 8 months after abduction, 13-year-old schoolgirls married off to bandits, and it has the writers that says 3 pregnant students released to parents. 12-year-old Bethel student remains in captivity, and then over 10 captives still with abductors. We are working for their release, and that's according to the security agencies, I believe. If you take a look at the infographic, you see a timeline of, the FGC Birni Yauri kidnapping, which started off, on June the 17th of 2021, and quite a number of them were abducted, 80 students and 5 teachers, and now we've seen the release of a good number. Only about 13 female students are said to have been married off to the bandits. That's quite unfortunate, really, because that's a change. It's like changing the destiny of children entirely, because
terrible. It's really
what they wanted was different, and now you're forcing them into marrying, what do you call them now, bandits. Other stories there are below that. You see APC to postpone convention over unresolved crisis, and that's on page 14. At the very bottom, you see pregnant woman, 8 others burnt to death in Kwara road crash. Queen Elizabeth test positive for COVID-19. 8 killed, 14 abducted as bandits attack Niger communities. At the very top there, you would see some very, very scary stories. For those who are consumers of Pomo, maybe it's time to have a rethink.
We cannot eat Pomo, can we?
The story says tones of Pomo that can cause deadly disease imported to Nigeria, and that's the NAFDAC raising alarm there. So you may want to get a glimpse of the details of that story. It's a warning by NAFDAC. Now it says hard times for passengers as airlines raise fares by 100%. You also have the story about Nigerian airstrike targeting terrorists kill children in Niger Republic. Quite interesting stories there. The one about the Pomo, a lot of I'm so interested in that. NAFDAC is saying they've intercepted, tons of the Pomo there in Lagos. So if you're a Lagosian, and I know that that's more like a headquarter of Pomo in Nigeria. For those who are wondering what Pomo is
cow skin, I think.
Yes,
animal skin rather.
Yes, animal hides are usually being consumed in some parts of the country. I believe all over the country though, but there are some people that are more professionals, in this.
But I really like Pomo. I love Pomo. I don't know.
How much do you like Pomo? Do you like Pomo as much as our Yoruba folks?
I love Pomo. But it's
I
sad,
doubt that. I doubt if you like Pomo as much as, because for some Yoruba folks, some of our crew members here in the studio, behind the scene, can tell. Folabi, I know you are watching me and you are saying.
And he eats Pomo too.
I know that it's something that it's a very serious delicacy, and without Pomo, I don't think the meal would have been well served. So, well, just be careful. NAFDAC is saying that some of these things are being adulterated, imported ones, adulterated with chemicals and the likes, and so people should be careful. Well, that's that for the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Okay, let's take a look at some more stories on the Punch newspaper this morning. The Punch leads with the story, Convention, APC battles consensus crisis as Buhari governors meet Tuesday. And the riders there state chapters confirm readiness, await Buni's signal. Chairmanship aspirant laments planned postponement. And you see all the stories right at the top. Nigeria lost over 2,000 lives to air crashes in 53 years, says AIB. And on page 33 on the Punch, fuel scarcity, private depots hike rates, more filling stations may sell above 180 naira per litre. Federal government admits inspection failure caused dirty fuel imports, prices soar in states. And you see other stories on page 26. We won't leave APC. Aregbeshola's group vows as Oyetola defeats Adioti. Bomo treated with industrial chemicals dangerous. NAFDAC warns Nigerians, probes merchants. And on page 18 on the Punch, strike. ASU NEC converges on Abuja today to meet federal government. And then there's a pictorial there, quite very funny pictorial there though. Anti-Aregbeshola's protest in Lagos, demonstrators berate minister. And you see the story about pregnant woman, 8 others die at Lagos-bound bus car collide, explode. On page 4, Ondo kidnappers sleep off. Abducted community leader escapes. Nursing mother on bail for illicit drug rearrested with tramadol. Others, and you find details of that story on page 5.
All right, well, on the front page of the Punch, I'm seeing something that Nigerians are fond of doing, in our political sphere. And that's on the pictorial there. There's something in front of those 4 people standing there that looks like
Is that like a coffin?
Yeah, coffin with the name of Aregbesola written on it, saying RIP. I mean, that's absurd. I don't know why people do that. I mean, no matter what the political rivalry is or whatever it is, it's more like wishing the person death. And you shouldn't wish anyone
This sends really a
death.
really bad signal,
We saw that during the Goodluck administration as well, while he was, ending his term in office, when the whole campaign became so heated and all that. And I think that it's wrong to do that. Well, also, we have other interesting stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper. You might want to pick a copy of that and have a glance. What's happening there? The lead story talks about governors meet today over new APC convention date. And it says, parley to set agenda for tomorrow's talks with Buhari. Congress is to hold in zones. And then you would have at the top there how Oyetola trounced Aregbeshola's man. You see governor extends olive branch. Alafin seeks support for Tinubu's presidential bid. And you see fare hike. Fear of passenger drop grips airlines. And then IPPIS not suitable for varsity system, says JAM registrar. Other stories there. Silver, inspection failure to blame for toxic petrol import. And that's according to Minister of Petroleum for State. And that's that on the Nation newspaper this morning.
Okay, let's take a look at some more on the Blueprint newspaper. The Blueprint also leads with a story about APC National Convention. Uncertainty as party awaits Buhari on Al-Makura, Mustafa Musa Akume. And the writers there states zonal congresses may come before convention. Forum cautions on plots to disqualify ex-Nasarawa governor. Elect vibrant youth as next chair, group tells APC. And you find other stories right at the top. Bad feel, tension as probe panel uncovers third-party involvement, scarcity and embarrassment. This is according to civil society organizations. And you see other stories just below that. FIRs to tax goods, services by companies without offices in Nigeria. And on page 24, Nigerian businesses lack strong identity protection. Kefi FMC frets over 10 unclaimed corpses, threatens mass burial. These This reminds me, of the story you did, Ayuba, about the corpses that you visited. I think a morgue, you said, or so.
Yes.
This actually reminds me of that. Unclaimed
yes,
bodies.
the documentary, yeah. I mean, it's horrible, actually, what we see. I wouldn't want to paint a grim picture of what I saw myself in one of the hospitals, federal hospitals for that matter. It will shock you to know what bodies look like in the morgues. You would think that we have a much more organized system, but I think it's something that maybe calls for an investigation of some sort. Maybe government should just visit, just go and visit and see how, we treat bodies at the morgues. it's
Quite tragic.
You'll be shocked. So let me just leave it at that.
All right, these are some of the major stories on the Blueprint newspaper this morning.
All right, now let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper, which is the last story that we'll be looking at. Now, the lead story talks about local airlines struggle with depleted fleet, low market penetration. And then it has the riders that says over 48 aircraft grounded, operators lease 12 to sustain local operation. You have also high maintenance costs, jet, exchange rate, hobby industry growth. Aero contractor struggles with staff salary, and you also see FG fails in pledges to deliver local maintenance organization, leasing company 6 year on. It is time to save sector from collapse, says operators. Well, there you have it. Now, below that, beside the pictorial by the left, you have concerns over alleged move to scuttle APC convention. Other stories there, NAFDAC raises the alarm over circulation of contaminated pomo in Lagos. And then you have BUK first-class graduate shot dead in Anambra. Pregnant woman, 8 others burnt to death in Kwara auto crash. And then below the pictorial, you see after sharing 45 billion naira, FCT primary schools remain short. These are the stories on the front page of The Guardian this morning. Now we'll connect with our viewer virtually this time around on the show this morning, and he is Abdulaziz, the Deputy General Editor, Daily Trust newspaper. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
Good morning, and
all right. Well, very interesting stories this morning on the Daily Trust's newspaper, for instance. We see that about 13 of the Yaruri school girls have been married off to bandits. That's quite heartbreaking, isn't it? How does this come to you?
yeah, it's really quite bad. It's a very bad development, especially because it's an incident that has been forgotten by almost everybody who seems to be talking about it, and people who should pay attention to issues like this. Uh, I think they're quite to, dig to this student abducted according to the story. Oh, and that's quite a long time. Of brings the very horrible attitude or the bandits that are now, with
Well, it appears that we have some technical hits. We'll try to reconnect back to Abdulaziz, but while we'll do that, we'll take a look at the stories again, talking about the Yauri abduction itself. How heartbreaking can this be?
It's really
these
tragic,
are students with aspirations, with plans for their future. And now here it is being kind of hijacked, because that's what it is, really. Someone hijacking your future for you.
I cannot imagine, the psychological trauma this will have, on these young girls. And, it's enough, with the whole situation you're facing in the country, and you going through this unwillingly. I can't imagine how it's going to be.
I mean, also, taking a look at the fact that, 3 of those girls have been impregnated, and then released by the bandits. So you wonder which is better, marrying off forcefully or, getting impregnated and then being released.
These are the kind of situations that make people have suicidal thoughts, because you stop to ask yourself, what really am I living for? What am I living for, really?
True. And that will come definitely with a lot of indoctrination, because we've seen this similar cases in the Northeast where some of these girls that were abducted, eventually, even when the chance to get them released, comes up, they just choose not to even, go anymore, because perhaps maybe they think, what is there to live for again? I mean, after this horrible experience, it's like life will never go back to normal anymore for those girls, and that's quite sad, really. We understand that a good number of the students have been released, but for those that have not been released, for those forcefully married off to the bandits, I mean, it's like their expectations, their future has been cut short, and there's no way around this. So it's unfortunate. Commendably, though, we have some releases of the teachers and the students that were initially abducted. But again, we wanted, to see the release of the complete,
all of them,
children, and not, part of them. So it's quite sad. Other interesting stories on the front page, the APC convention that a lot of people have waited and talked about, there are indications that there's a likely postponement of the convention, given the fact that even, forms for the various party seats is not yet on sale, and all of that. So, and certain unresolved issues, pending issues that are yet to be concluded by the Peace Committee and the rest. So, I mean, I have seen this coming, really.
Oh, really? You did?
I saw this coming, really.
With the assurances that we had, I thought we were not going to be here talking about this.
I mean, if you talk about 26th of February, 26th of February, just days away from now, about 5 days, away from now. And if, you are conducting elections in that convention and you are yet to begin the sales of forms, when are you going to start the sales? And then when are the candidates or the aspirants going to pick up the forms and fill them up and submit them back and do some of those processes? I mean, how would you be able to achieve within these few days that is left? So it's quite unfortunate, but we continue to follow up with that and keep watching. These are the early signs that we are seeing that there's a likelihood of postponement, but peradventure they still go ahead to do the convention, then maybe the fears of a lot of people about having an implosion may just be coming to reality, given the fact that certain issues are yet to be resolved, by the party. So very interesting.
There's a story, the one about Nigerian airstrike targeting terrorists, kill children in Niger Republic. I've thought about that, and I've said to myself, what implication does this really have, for us? Yeah,
very, very interesting. The information that we are seeing was actually given by a governor in the state that was concerned, that was affected by this, one of the border communities in Niger Republic. So, and from the tone, though, from what I read, it's like there's this understanding, oh, it's a mistake. This happens even on Nigerian soil. They call it friendly fire, and even though it's unfortunate.
Friendly? Doesn't sound friendly, though.
Yeah, I mean, in the context of, firing on your own, or the very people you seek to protect,
Friendly fire.
Not friendly in the sense that, okay, it's friendly, but I mean, in the sense of this is within your own domain, and this happens, mistakenly, and all that. So it's unfortunate. This has happened a couple of times in the Northeast, where we see airstrike kill, our own people. And it's unfortunate that this happens, but again, experts will say, well, it's part of the collateral damages that are likely when you are fighting a war. And this happened to be on another soil, not Nigeria. It could, without the understanding.
Does it have any diplomatic implications?
Yes, it could strike some kind of rivalry, some kind of, conflict if it is not properly managed. But that is why communication, diplomatic communication, is very key in this. That our people or our neighbors rather should have that understanding that it happens and all that. So let's reconnect back to Abdulaziz Abdulaziz, the Deputy General Editor, Daily Trust newspaper, for his own perspectives. Well, we were talking about the abduction of the Yauri school children. But again, another one closely related on issue of security is the recent airstrike that was targeting terrorists, but in the process now hit innocent civilians in Niger Republic. Again, what do we know about this so far?
Yeah, so very much for having me back. Actually, it's a very serious problem, and that, of course, the authorities have been hard in their own way to ensure that we tackle the problem. And part of it is the airstrike, and strikes are really problematic in terms of counterterrorism, especially in operations against abuses. Well, even in the northeast, they've quite reported a lot of successes in the airports, but also had cases of mistaken identity or missing target, like what happened some time back in Yobe State, I think last year, and yeah, in the northern western country, we have also had instances of such things in Niger State, and more happened yesterday. Now,
All right. Well, again, we still have these technical hitches. Hopefully, we'll reconnect, and get the perspectives from Abdulaziz there. So, yes, we were talking about this, the implication of this on our diplomatic. Recall that Nigeria and Niger, they have this multinational joint task force, combating terrorism along that region. And so I believe and I expect that there will be that synergy and that understanding that, this is not an assault. It's not a declaration of war on Niger.
No.
Yes, and that's why I call it friendly fire, actually.
It sounds quite friendly,
Yes.
in the context, what...
Yeah, in the context of, okay, we belong on the same side.
Yes.
And all that, yes. So it's unfortunate that, we understand that about 7 children, were killed in the process. 4 died instantly, and about 3 of them succumbed to injuries, in the hospital. So,
I'd love to see some form of compensation for this.
yes, there should be,
Subsequently.
and I believe that will be taken care of by our, maybe Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then our our embassies in Niger and all of that. Well, that's that, and also very interesting, other stories on the front pages of our newspapers, talking about, this. Well, we've touched on the issue of Pomo, that it's
Everywhere. It's
everywhere on
virtually
our
almost
papers.
all of the papers. the Pomo
Almost
issue.
on all the papers, and that means that we should take that seriously, because when the NAFDAC is speaking from the point of view of intelligence, from the point of view of research, and accurate information.
I
So it
was
shouldn't
also wondering, should we be importing Pomo in the first place?
that beats my imagination, actually. Things like Pomo. Why do we have to import? It's like importing animals, for consumption, because we have that in abundance here.
We do a lot of that here.
So I'm wondering, maybe we've eaten all that we have, and now we have to look elsewhere to get
Have
more.
we?
But literally, we shouldn't have to be importing these things. We have them, right here at our doorsteps. So it's very, very alarming to have that. And I hope that people will listen to this caution. Now, we've been able to get Abdulaziz back. I hope that this time we'll be able to stay connected for his own perspectives. Well, if you may, your thought about the Nigerian airstrike targeting terrorists that killed innocent civilians in Niger Republic, the implication of that, on our diplomatic engagement with Niger Republic. Do you think that there will be some negative implication?
Thank you very much. Actually, as I was saying, we have had similar incidences where those airstrikes become really problematic and they go the wrong way. And as you were saying earlier, the Niger Republic authorities to understand that this is something that was not intentional, this is something that has happened in the the airstrikes are very good in terms of combating terrorists and all other criminals, but it's something that they dread a lot because they know that whenever it happens, it is usually very devastating. When it's successful, I mean, it can take out a lot of people at once. Also, we still have challenges with it because, as I was recounting, we have had instances where it went wrong and hit targets. In that context, I I don't want to be, especially for Nigeria, that is a very friendly country to Nigeria. I don't think there will be any diplomatic row. Of course, I know they will not let it go like that. They may demand compensation for their own people. Which is one of the things that even um, observers here and campaigners have been talking about. That just because this is not intentional does not mean that if villain targets are hit, there shouldn't be compensation for them, which is the case right now in Nigeria. And of course, it's not a collateral damage, it's not intentional, but also you can't deny the loss when people are killed, when people maybe are widowed or their children are killed, there should be some level of compensation. More importantly for me, we should up our game. We, hard as they try, they still need to tighten up their operation. They still need to be more professional, especially with this air power, because it's something that, of course, real devastation. One, they need some advanced technology, some real reconnaissance, because usually what happens is that perhaps wrong information about location, and then when they hit, it happens to be on the target.
Of APC to postpone convention over unresolved crisis. Could you comment on that?
Yes, the two convention is something that has been like a very big mouse and cat thing, in which that the leadership at different levels, I mean, the key gladiators trying to outreach each other, and evidently that is what we've been witnessing in the past couple of weeks or even months. Because to even agree on the date was problematic. Remember, it took a lot of pressure even for February 26th date to be announced leadership. And now that it was announced, some dilly-dallying began, some real uh, in which we see very lethargic attitude towards the convention itself. Because as you were discussing, you, there are no signs, or even I would say there are up to this moment no signs that the convention will still happen. Also, because that's what is in the paper today, that the governors will meet today and then the president tomorrow. So to say that it is on Tuesday that you will meet and take decisions on what happening something like a national convention, say that it will be happening on Saturday and on meet. Definitely, even though it needs to be announced, the signs are all over that they will not hold this convention on the 6th. Of course, they, to be fair to them, there are crises that may affect even the outcome of the convention if they are not resolved. For example, all the disputes in different courts alleging validity of state congresses. So if those things are not resolved, if maybe with one case, the national convention can be brought down. I mean, can be destroyed because if, as the court say, you can't fix everything of nothing. So if, for example, the in Kano came and participated in the national convention, and then later a court says the, they were not the valid leaders of the party in Kano, then it will mean a problem with the whole party. So I think it's a serious dilemma, and unfortunately, the party is not, especially most of for a ruling party, it is really disappointing that they cannot uh, call people to order and address these problems. Because for me, that is the
Thank you, Abdulaziz, for sharing with us your perspectives on Daybreak this morning. Quite a number of other stories on the front pages of our newspapers. We'll take a breather, and then when we come back, we'll take a look at some more. Please stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that a person look like the same,
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that